Tuesday nights, and Sackheads Media, and K98 Talk. But if you're missing any of those and you want to take us on the go, take us anywhere you want, hey, we're a cheap date. You can check us out on any of our podcasting outlets on demand at iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM, and a special shout-out this week to our newest rebroadcast outlet. I want to thank Google Play Music for listing us and having us roll out live this week. Listen on Google Play Music, sign into their podcast portal, select Behind Enemy Lines Radio, and you get to see our whole show list there. Download whatever you like. And again, Google Play Podcast is our newest outlet. We thank them for carrying us. We're making the big time, kiddies. We're actually on some real, live, good places. Time to take a quick first break here, and when we come back, we'll be talking about a little bit of the, dare I say, the Dem side. A side that we have to deal with all the time, and how a little bit of local news and a little bit of local knowledge can go a long way on this show this week. Gene, Amanda, and Matt, Behind Enemy Lines, will be back right after these brief words.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito. And we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. And check out our blog posts and articles at VitoandVito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me, who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty Health Share is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty Health Share is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air. Gene, Amanda, and Matt back behind enemy lines, and during that commercial break, I want everybody to know there is a national emergency going on right now in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, not in Brooklyn, but in Forest Hills, Queens. Somewhere within Amanda Kohut's room, there is a spider lurking, probably watching her as we speak. It popped its ugly head out during the commercial break, and now Amanda's in the process of burning her entire house down during this live broadcast. Amanda, we wish you the best. I just want to know, what color pin should we get to wear on our lapels in memory of the spider?
Oh, obviously puce.
Of course. Poor Amanda. You okay?
I have to go down with the ship. I have to go down with the ship. This is horrible.
Oh, my goodness. What are we doing here? Well, I'll tell you what we're doing here right now. We're going to be talking about the other side of the aisle. We're going to be talking about, dare I say, them dirty Dems and what's going on there. The big surprise of primary night this week during this latest Tuesday night primary show is that Hillary Clinton, in her adopted home state. No, folks, this is not her home state. Stop calling it that. It's her adopted home state. We don't claim her. We don't want her. You can have her back. We'll trade her for a bag of baseballs and a bucket full of Gatorade if we have to. Little baseball joke there. Hillary Clinton did not win the primary until at least 40 minutes into the counting. I'm totally shocked by that. And as we sit here right now, she is polling in her adopted home state under 60% against Bernie Sanders, who's broken the 40% barrier. Amanda Kohut, surprised, not surprised, and why?
I am not surprised because I know she started making her transition to saying she's been a lifelong Philly fan in honor of the Pennsylvania primary next week.
And, of course, the Phillies got trounced by our hometown nationally champ New York Mets 11-1. Just so the show is dated, this is Tuesday night anyway. And we're showing some signs of life at the plate. This is our city, Yankee fans. And I'm a little surprised, I gotta say. Fairley, are you surprised by Hillary polling right now below 60%?
Not really. I mean, anyone who watched New York politics, if you watched the Democratic gubernatorial primary 2 years ago, and Zephyr Teachout, friend of the show, Zephyr Teachout's...
yes. The only liberal friend of the show that we have.
Primary challenge that she had on Andrew Cuomo, there's a lot of liberal areas outside of the city that do not follow the Democratic establishment. And if you watch the map, and I know this is going to piss off everyone who's listening, but the New York Times has a fantastic map up right now where they actually break down the city's vote by election district, like by neighborhood. It's an excellent map. But if you watch their statewide map, Bernie Sanders is dominating upstate, just dominating upstate, and he's doing well enough in the city that he's keeping Hillary, who won as a senator in New York by, 70% of the vote? He's keeping her low enough that...
She'd walk them over them like crazy in the state when she ran. Absolutely, Matt. Keep going.
When she ran as a senator, she just destroyed it. But, the party has since changed, and, I think it's very telling that the media, based on exit polls, was willing to call Trump the minute the polls closed, but it took them an hour to call for Hillary, which tells you that it's 59% now, and I think that number is going to trend downwards as time goes because if the exit polling said 60%, they would have called it for Hillary. If it said 59%, they would have called it for Hillary. So I think Bernie is going to keep gnawing into that because there's just a portion of the Democratic Party that just doesn't care. They're just as angry as the people who are supporting Trump in the Republican Party.
Absolutely. Let me give you guys some exit poll stuff, just to show you the pulse of the Democrats, those that were able to actually vote, and we'll get to that a little later in the show. Democrats' feelings on Wall Street, as you would expect, 64% think that Wall Street hurts the economy, so that's a pretty significant number, but remember that you're in a state where 51% of the Republicans on the exit poll also said the same thing. So, again, even if there was ever an argument about rhinoism, there's that. And, of course, on gun policy in the People's Republic of New York, everyone loves Hillary Clinton's position on gun policy and gun control. So, of course, what would you expect? Among Hispanic voters, Clinton won 57-43, not as wide as was expected. And then, with young people, Sanders dominates again 69-31 over Hillary. Amanda, does Clinton's problem with young people bode well for her or bode poorly for her in the general, or does it even matter at all?
It bodes ill, but not necessarily for the primary. I think that it should be a warning sign for her going into the general election that she does not necessarily have tied up support amongst the younger generation of voters. Her one silver lining here is that young voters traditionally are not reliable voters. They don't necessarily turn out regularly to vote. And really, the only reason we have seen an uptick in youth voting is due to the fact that they have coalesced behind candidates who they feel emotionally motivated by. So if she's not emotionally motivating youth voters, they're more than likely going to just stay home. So I think that her people are currently strategizing about how to make Hillary a more dynamic candidate to appeal to those young Bernie Sanders voters and tell them, okay, maybe your guy didn't win, but I hear you. Come and stick with me, and we'll work together.
And that's not a strategy that has worked for the Republican Party when it came to the energy that came from the Ron Paul libertarians. Do you think that they'll be... I mean, if you look at the Obama election in 2008, that was what made the difference in a lot of ways. There was always talk about the youth vote in 2008. If Clinton can't get the youth vote, and we still see this energy from a Trump nominee, does that skew the polls that we've been seeing in any way, Amanda?
Hard to tell, because so much about this election cycle has defied all conventional wisdom. But if the youth vote does not turn out for Clinton, and we equally also hold true the fact that Hillary would trounce Trump in November if that was the matchup, I think we have to say yes.
I think it definitely could. Matt, I'm going to ask you something real quick here as well. And that is the Bernie Sanders phenomenon right now. Bernie Sanders walked into Hillary Clinton's adopted home state and is walking out with over 40%. It's got to be a momentum builder, even for a campaign that nobody says can win, right?
I think it's a momentum builder. I think it definitely means he's not going anywhere. It definitely means he's not shutting the door. You know, the Democratic side is so weird in that it's impossible. And, you know, this is one of the things where if you're a Democrat, I think you should be righteously and royally annoyed. It's almost impossible to win the nomination on pledged delegates alone. You have to get a huge number of pledged delegates and then get enough super delegates to put you over the top. You know, there's only ever been Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And at the end of the day, when the time comes, neither of them is going to have enough delegates at the time of the election to win without the superdelegates. It's not like there's an issue with the Republicans where there were so many candidates that, you know, it's conceivably possible. You know, there's a number of mathematical reasons why Donald Trump could not get 1237. It's because Marco Rubio still has hundreds of delegates. Ted Cruz has hundreds of delegates. John Kasich has hundreds of delegates. There are so many other candidates to suck in those delegates. So, you know, Bernie Sanders can walk in and say, yeah, Hillary Clinton doesn't have the delegates, and there's no reason for him to stop. And this is a one way for him to look and say, even in the place where she is historically great, she couldn't seal the deal. So I think politically speaking, he has a really great argument for going forward.
And as every guy knows, sealing the deal is key. Go ahead, Amanda.
Gene, I'm just going to add to what Matt said, that delegates are currently in the process of being awarded. So far, with 75% of districts reporting, Hillary Clinton has locked up 138 delegates. Bernie Sanders, 85. So the fact that she is that close in delegate count in her alleged home state does not at all bode well for her in the long term. And this week, her campaign even admitted that Hillary Clinton would not be in the lead right now if it were not for superdelegates. And that should be very concerning to her campaign. Meanwhile, if you take a look at over at the Republican side with 75% reporting, 48 delegates have been awarded thus far, all to Donald Trump.
But you know what, though, Amanda? Here's what I don't get. And this is what kind of gets me up a tree when I talk to Democrats. They have all these super delegates, which is kind of stacking the deck. Well, not kind of stacking the deck. It is stacking the deck. You have Bernie Sanders winning races, and he's not winning enough delegates to even, come that close. Talk about the ultimate redistribution. The guy who wants to redistribute everything is having his delegates redistributed. But at the same time, when you look at the exit polls about whether this election is energizing or dividing Democrats, the majority is saying that they're feeling energized. These Democrats don't even realize that they're having their choices stolen from them, and they feel good about it. This is what I don't get, Amanda.